Okay, so we are moving forward, and now we're going to the next topic. It's just about how build your own Web3 startup, what you need to know, what issues you can face, yeah, and what profits you can take from this. As for me, it's always stressfully, but it's interesting, yeah. So we asking to join us Yuri from Karfi, sharing experience, and asking Nikita Blanc from Hyperion, yeah, or
Hey
maybe,
everyone.
yeah, Hyperion, yeah. So sharing this. So let's go to a first question. Or you can, like, 2 minutes, shortly introduce yourself, what projects you built. It's your first project, or you have previous projects to just understand it better with whom we are talking for attendees. Let's try going from Yuri, 2 minutes about you.
Sure. Yeah, hi guys. I'm Yura, founder and CEO of Cryfi. In 2 words, Cryfi is a software trading platform that allows anyone to become a blockchain verified signal provider. And my background is product design. So I think I know more than anyone how user feedback is important. And that would be most of my knowledge sharing today regarding the importance of the users and importance of the building the product that is really, really needed.
Okay, moving to Nikita.
All right. My name is Nikita. I'm the founder of Hey Everyone. This is the company that I'm building right now, which helps early stage founders connect with venture capital investors. Previously, I have built a fun tech blockchain company, which was called Challenge App, also known as Aristica. That was a entertainment company with $3.5 million in turnover, and I'm also a graduate of Orbit Startups Accelerator. Um, so yeah, I'm going to be happy sharing experience about product development, growth hacking, um, building a Web3 business in a Web2 environment. So yeah, excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay, perfect. So going to a first question. For example, if you're building your startup, new startup from a scratch, with your previous experience, what the best 5 steps you can provide to take care to make it successful? 3, 5, don't care. Maybe it's team idea. What else need to be the fundamental about building successful startup?
Yeah, so I think the most important part is the fact that easier solution is really needed. Because from my experience as a designer, we had a lot of clients, founders, which were super motivated to build a new app, a new killer app, but sadly they were building it for them, not for the users, because they didn't do enough research, didn't talk to the users, and didn't validate the idea. So the first step would be to actually validate the idea and talk to the users if this problem that they have in mind is really such important and need to be covered with your solution. After that, I think it's really important to also consider the industry where you build in, right? And how hard it is to penetrate and how much connections you have, right? Because, for example, if you're, I don't know, the Muay Thai fighter, right? But you want to build the fintech startup, then you just need to be ready that you will have a lot of problems connecting to the right people. Since if you're a Muay Thai fighter, then probably your connections are trainers, other fighters, fitness trainers, and whatsoever, and you will need to fully change your circle in order to be successful. And then the MVP, because without the MVP, I think it's almost impossible to achieve anything. Meaning raise funds, get enough attention, unless you have the right connections to VCs, investors, or whatsoever. And sadly, those days from the Silicon Valley TV series, where you can just have an idea on your napkin and then raise 5 millions, they gone quite long time ago. So yeah, to summarize, validate the idea, be in the right circle, or start collecting the right circle of people around you who will help you to build or to move to the next step in terms of the people and connections, and then worry about the MVP.
Okay, it's great point of view. Nikita, what you can add to all this? I had some marks about the topics to provide a new questions.
Yeah, so I would add a couple of points to previous answer. So not only do you have to validate the idea by talking to your users, but I would also suggest collecting money from your users. So if you're building a business that depends on revenue, which assumingly every business is supposed to be, you should take money first. That is the best validation that you can get that you're building actually a business and not a hobby. And I just read this interesting article published on PitchBook about the lack of VC distributions. So there's much more money coming into VCs than money coming out of VCs. So that is an evidence that VCs are actually not investing money in startups that well as it was like 7 years ago or 8 years ago, which means that building a venture-backed company and building a unicorn has become increasingly harder than it was a decade ago, which means that investors tend to rely on more proven business models. By proven, I mean proven with revenue, with profits, and with users actually bringing the monetary value to the company, rather than building the next Twitter or Facebook where you can rely on investors' money for many, many years before starting to actually make something. So yeah, I think that building a startup is a sort of a very risky endeavor, and it's a very specific type of people that are able to do so. So if you're building a company and you're building a startup, there's probably something wrong with you, although you're doing a very good thing.
Okay, I understand. So let me check, Nikita. It sounds from you or from me?
Probably yes, for me. Someone's calling me.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
because my operator was attention like, wow, from there this sound comes. Okay, so back into first answer from Yuriy about idea, yeah, is main and to build some MVP. But how about a team? Because as we know, a lot of examples when idea has a lot of pivots to find the best solution to get the market, and without a team that involved in this, I think it will be more harder than with a good team.
Yeah, sure. But from my experience, I'm a solo founder, and yeah, I know how hard it is. And I totally recommend anyone to find a co-founder, because it doesn't worth it. It doesn't worth to have 100%, but just hold everything on your shoulders. But I don't think it's a big differentiator. You're working alone or with a big team. Of course, you have resources, you have your best friends, then it's better. But other co-founders and other team members are actually can slow you down. That's what happened to me, because I had a co-founder at the beginning, at the ideation stage, but he was slowing me down, so we mutually agreed to split up, and that was a good decision because then I wasn't forced to ask his opinion or wait for his feedback in order to make some decision. I was just making all decisions by myself. Though, yeah, the statistics shows that startups with more than one founder are more successful. There are more amount of unicorns compared to the startups with only one founder. That's pure statistics, and you can't compete or negotiate that. But yeah, in the end, it all depends on you, on your surroundings, and the way you go. If you have a small startup, then maybe you can do it all by yourself. And then when you have enough resources and actual need, then you expand. But at the same time, if you have people that are also motivated and you're trusting them more than anyone, then it also would be easier for you to achieve your goals with the teammates. So yeah, I think it just depends startup by startup and team by team, founder by founder, and both kind of options, being the one founder and have multiple founders, as they have their own pros and cons. So I don't think there is a right answer to that. But Nikita, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, as they say, if you want to go fast, go along, go along. If you want to go far, go together. I think that just that the proverb essentially describes the difference between solopreneurship and entrepreneurship. I have never been a solo founder, so it's really interesting for me to get your perspective on this and how your outlook on the entrepreneurship. I've always been a part of a team. I've always had someone to handle the technical part. I've always had someone to handle the marketing part and operational part. And myself, I consider myself as a get shit done person. So it doesn't really matter what do you have to do. You have to get your shit done. So it's really important to have like different puzzle pieces inside of a team from my point of view, because you know, and not only emotionally you depend on your company depends on you, but you have to make sure that you have different outlooks on your business, and different people can, bring the right vision for the company as a whole. So that worked great for me, and I know that there are a lot of people that want to create a business, but they experience this problem of lack of co-founders, so to speak. It's really hard to find a co-founder because it's essentially like finding a life partner or a husband or a wife.
Beating my questions, because my next question was about co-founders. Yeah, how you face it with this or not. So just thank you that you're talking about this.
So all of my products that I've built, I've always built with people I know from far, far long. Like I can't even calculate, like maybe over 10 years. And those are the people that I'm enjoying spending time with. And that's the number one priority. Those are the people that I trust, and those are the people that are my friends. So that building products is not our only subject that we discuss. Like, we just have fun together, and we just like doing whatever together.
Mhm.
And I find it rare, because finding such people in your circle, like, there are multiple criteria you have to meet, right? You have to trust them. You have to share history and long history. You have to have the same mindset, because as I said in the beginning, like if you're building a startup, there might have been something wrong with you. So you have to share that kind of risky mentality, and yeah, and you have to stick together. You don't have to. So dropping things along the way is not the best quality for a co-founder, and persistence is something that persistence is one of the main drivers of any business and any founder. So being persistent is another criteria. So I find it very rare, and I actually, it's really hard for me to explain how founders find their co-founders by meaning. So if they want to do that, how do they actually do that? I know that if you're applying to a Y Combinator, for example, they offer you a service where you can find a co-founder for your company. But from my perspective, there are many criteria missing here when you're finding just a random person. So yeah, I'm curious to find out other opinions on this.
Okay, so combining all your answers, we can move to next things. From Yuri's side, he's solo entrepreneur, yeah, and Nikita always works in a team. Yeah, as we know, it was 1 week or 2 weeks ago, and I think it was Sam Altman said that in the near future, in the next few years, we can see the new unicorns from solo entrepreneurs. So AI can now just remove a lot of people in a team, yeah, and to do their work. So how can AI remove a lot of additional workers in a team? Yeah, and is it really necessary to get a co-founder? By the way, for co-founders, yeah, we know about Black Swan, what happens with your company, yeah. So imagine how long you, I mean the story with App Store. It's from Nikita, yeah. Imagine you're trying to find a good co-founder for 1-2 years, and then something happens and just crash at your company, yeah, and it's not from your side, yeah. And so is it necessary in this way to trying so hard to find a good co-founder if something like this makes happens? Yeah, or it's better to get a paid team with personal roles for any department that need inside your company. So,
Yeah,
two
yeah.
versions. If you still will be moving as a solo entrepreneur for Yuriy, and for Nikita, it's really it's necessary to find for a startup when you're starting a co-founder and a team, or really we can remove a lot of work with just the AI and starting our first steps just in one, and maybe if we need people to find these people who just take our business development, yeah, and some areas that can be covered only by people, not from AI.
Yeah, I just want to add one point to Nikita's a point on Y Combinator. So Y Combinator also have the founder matching available to anyone. So that's one way to try to find your co-founder. And for my side, yeah, we still have a team. The only difference is that the team is either on the payroll or some equity or token bonuses, which means that I'm the only one ultimate decision makers, but we still have the CTO, we still have the marketing lead, we still have the BD. But as I mentioned, I think having the co-founders simplifies a lot, just because the workload. But at the same way, yes, you need to know these co-founders for a long time, ideally, and you need to have the full trust of them. From my side, I don't mind founding a co-founder to Cryfy. The only problem that I'm seeing, which potentially can occur, is that it's hard to divide the Cryfy at this stage when we have the We have a community, we have the app, we have some traction compared to the idea stage, for example, right? When the idea stage, then yeah, take 50%, all good, we're working on it together, right? But once you achieve some milestones and you consider to have the co-founder, then yeah, I'm personally experience problems to finding the right kind of stake, right, and dividing those responsibilities and making sure that your co-founder will be working as good as you, right? Because you were from the beginning and he's joining later on. Um, Regarding the AI, I think that's yeah more than could happen. Even
Mhm.
now, AI simplifies a lot of processes and helps a lot in multiple ways, and this trend will only continues. So yeah, just depends on what exactly you're building and what is your skill set. I know one developer who built his platform by himself. He scaled it, he monetized it, he created the decent community all by himself. And I'm really surprised how he did it, because the quality of product he's having is just insane. It looks like the product that was made by 20 people, but he's only one guy. So yeah, I think it just depends on your personal skill set in the end, and on your circle of friends, family, or whoever who can be either your co-founders or maybe your team members.
Okay, great.
My take on this is uh, I absolutely agree. It depends on your skill set, and also depends on the company stage. If you're talking about the MVP ideation stage or maybe pre-seed, early seed, um, then yeah, it's totally possible. You can move alone. You can move with AI, whatever, because you're moving fast. You're testing different hypotheses, and you don't need anything. You know, you don't need any other perspective because you're testing multiple things. If we're talking about later stage companies, I think it's much harder doing everything alone. I'm not saying without a team. I'm saying without co-founders, because co-founders apply different visions to the bigger picture, the company picture. And yeah, but I've seen stories that are both successful, either with solo founder team or a team of co-founders. It just, uh, I don't even know the denominator between the two. Either it's thanks to the team or despite having a team that happened. I think both ways can be true. As for the AI being a co-founder, I I like that happening, but I don't think that is possible at the current AI stage. So if we're moving closer to the AGI point, then that might happen. Because my take on this is because
Mm-hmm.
AI tends to agree with you every single time. I haven't seen an AI dispute with its within the chat with you. So whenever you say anything, even if it's gibberish or a bunch of BS, AI tends to agree and apologizes. So and having a team disagreeing with you and finding compromises usually tends to be uh, a right decision for the company. So yeah.
This is a way when some founders didn't take co-founders because they thinking that only their opinions in right in the moment. Because
That can be true. That can be true. I mean, but that can be true 100 out of 100 cases, right? So if you're moving further along your company way, there might be cases when you're totally wrong and there's no one else to tell you that.
yeah, because I'm telling now from my own experience, we have a crazy experience. We have a 10 co-founders. We just
Wow.
making our first startup, not just for fun, and it grows in 2 years history with a lot of building products. Yeah, and we get in this 2 years experience like for 10 years. Yeah, for example, because. And I understand that sometimes not all co-founders understand your vision, your long-term vision, and some movements, and it takes a lot of time to explain this to them how why we need to make it this now because it will be profit later. Yes, and it some short steps that gives some quick profit, yeah, but in long term it's not so good. That's my position from my experience. Yeah, so my next question, how much money need to start startup? Please tell us this story. For example, how much it costs each of you to start your startup? Because sometimes people thinking that it's need to be a lot of money to take startups to build something, and when you're trying to explain it, that no, guys, it's much easier than you think. You don't need money for all. You just need to start. And so, from your view, for example, how much money you need, or if you need money, what steps to do first to your startup born? Yuri?
I can start if you don't mind.
Okay, Nikita, start.
It really depends on the area of your startup. So, for example, if you're building a software company, I would definitely say that the cost of creating such company would be closer to zero. If you're building a hardware startup where you need a bunch of experiments, say, I don't know, like robotics, biotech, or space tech, something like super heavy and that requires a lot of R&D, that won't be zero, definitely. And that would require some capital investment at the ideation stage.
I'm sorry,
Typically,
Nikita. My main idea was that if we are in Web3 conference, yeah, so we are
right.
talking mostly from this area. Of course, hardware projects, it's a very costable projects. So we are talking in Web3 and near Web3 and service IT.
So anything that is around software, I do believe that it's, closer to zero. If you're building a Web3 company now, I would say that there are also many areas, right? There are things you can do with the hardware, again, with mining technologies, with clean energy around mining. There are things that you can do around new technology with the blockchain itself. Not sure who would use that, but anyway. And there are things that sort of like layer 2 technologies that are built on top of other technologies. That is all closer to zero from my perspective, because all you need is the tech development. If you're considered to be a developer, or you have a co-founder who is a developer, that would be closer to zero. The main thing, and that applies not only to Web3 companies, by the way. The main thing is distribution. The technological landscape has changed in the startup world during the last couple of years due to to a great ability of AI writing a good code. And the main challenge for any company in the software space is distribution. How are you attracting your customers? How are you building your fan base? How are you building your viral content? What brings customers on board? This is the main challenge that you have to face. And that doesn't have to be any paid channels. Like, most founders think that it's simple as, you know, donating money to Google or Facebook and you're done. But unfortunately, it's not simple as that. You have to build your product having in mind your onboarding growth hacks, your product flow, the way the value that it brings, the viral coefficient that you specifically insert in your product. These are the things that you have to think about, and they cost you nothing if you think about them in the right way. You know, that's such a vast question. I can talk about that for hours. That's the subject I love talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, from my side, I think it's, yeah, any startup could start from the zero, because to be a founder, you just need the idea, right? And that could be your beginning. You can have the idea, you can call yourself a founder, why not? And then it's just a question of your networking opportunities, right? And people you meet, people you know. And this is how you can decrease the price of your startup, the funds required to build your startup. For example, if one of the events or conferences, you will meet a co-founder, right? You explain him or her your idea. He or she will like it and become your co-founder, your developer, for example, right? So now you can build the MVP without no costs at all, cost of your time, basically, to going to the conference and negotiating. That's the same goes to the investors, angels, and any other team members. But the sky is the limit. So the more money you have, the better, of course, and the easier will it be. But in any way, there's AI, there are tools that are helping to build the website, right? So this could be also a solid background where you can collect waitlist signups. That's your construction. And to do so, you need either $0 or maybe $50, maybe $100. So you don't need a lot to start, but you will need a lot to scale and actually start money in most of the cases. But of course, depends on the industry.
Yeah, great. So, main question, how to build unicorn? Short question,
I
but
don't know.
I
I haven't
think
built
you.
one.
Okay, what is your plan to build unicorn if you have these plans? But as I know, it's no founder that going to start up and don't want to turn it in a unicorn.
Right. My take on this is move fast, but fail faster. This is the principle I've been following for the last 7-ish years. Testing multiple things, being liquid as water is very important for a founder as well as for the trader, by the way. Yes, so be bold, try new things, and most importantly, try to fulfill your customers' needs and be on the right market at the right time. I guess that's a very, I don't know, vivid arguments for any founder to start a startup in order for it to become a unicorn. Yeah, that's my take on this. Because yes, because being on the right market is extremely important. So if you want to become a unicorn, that mathematically means that your market has to be larger than $1 billion, right? If you want to become a unicorn at a certain at a certain market that has great growth potential, not only has to be larger than 1 billion, possibly has to be larger than 10 billion or 15 billion, because being a $1 billion company essentially makes you 10% of the market, which is already ambitious.
Of course. Yeah.
So pick the right market, pick the right time, pick the right co-founders or move solo, and be bold enough to fail. And yeah, emotions, yeah, talking about failures also makes you talk about your emotions and your mental ability to change your company fast. don't get attached to your initial idea because that can drown you down really quickly. Be realistic, listen to customer feedback, and remember that you're doing it for not only to satisfy your own ego, but to actually bring value to the people in the market that you're building it for, which is essentially your customers.
Okay. Yuri, your answer for this?
I would agree on that. The speed is really important. And I wanted to add, be devoted and don't give up. But that could be also the bad trick, right? If you see that it's not working and it's not working for years, then yeah, probably it's time to move on.
To kill this horse, yeah?
To kill the horse, yeah, before the pinnacle on the head. But at the same time, want to say that don't give up so easily, because I myself, I was thinking a lot to give up on the pitch deck stage, right? Because I think, okay, what's next? I don't have money to build, right? But then I found the way, right? And now we have the website, the community, people, and the stage that we currently have, which is still early, but it's much more than I was expecting before, right? But at the same time, yeah, I know a few examples of people that were building startups, new startup every 2 weeks, right? And if they see that startup doesn't work in 2 weeks, they just move to the next idea and next idea. And that's the process that could help. But I think in order to work like machine, or to work like AI, you need a lot of self-esteem and experience. But that's also something you can consider before starting, right? To not get too attached to a startup and be ready to pivot for sure, or maybe abandon your idea. But at the same time, if you see the potential and the feedback from the users is right, or from people that you meet, then just don't give up too easily.
Yeah, and having that approach, following that approach where you start a new company every 2 weeks requires you to have at least like 25 ideas per year, and that is a challenging thing to have.
Yeah, that's why when we are talking to, just from your words, Nikita, move faster and in the right time. Yeah, so sometimes, for example, we know, yeah, if we are talking now about bull run cycle, yeah, 24, 25, before this it was bear market, and building something big in bear market, it costs growing up, and you can't even fundraise money from VCs because they're not active in this market. So how to be when you waiting for a right time? For example, for some projects, I'm waiting a time that comes now, because built in 2022, 2023, it was just money to the air. Yeah, so about move faster and this right time. Is it cost, if you know that cycles repeats, for example, to take some time to wait this time and then go move faster, or just move faster in any way that hype it now and build your first startup, for example? But as we know, first startups, 90% died. Yeah, and from here, next question. How it feels when your first startup dies, and where to get a power to come to a next startup?
Yeah, I can start because I will need to run really quick. So ideally, I think you should build in beer and scale at bull. Ideally, you have this ability. In this case, you won't be losing anything, because while the market is slow, you have time to build, to ideate, to talk, and once the market conditions are right, then you can scale, find investors, or start onboarding users in the correct market. But of course, it's easier to achieve your goals on the correct market and the correct time, where people have money and people want to spend money.
When it's great in the market, yeah.
Yeah, especially. And regarding the dead horses, Firefly is alive more than that. and I don't have the dead startups in the past, so can't add anything. And I'm really sorry, guys, but I need to run. It was a pleasure joining you guys.
No problem.
And
We are finishing in 2 minutes, so it's okay.
okay, okay,
We heard your vision about this, so Nikita just finished with his words, and we going to a next
Yep.
topic in 15 minutes.
Yeah, right. So totally agree. Scaling at the bull market is really the right thing to do. However, building something valuable takes some time. So if assuming that you just started building at the bull market makes you want to release it at the bear market, which really doesn't make sense for many founders. I guess the ideal strategy would be to raise money during the bull cycle of the during the bull cycle of the first cycle, and then build it during the bear market, and then release it during the next bull cycle. But for
This
a
is a
VC, that would mean
greatest advice I heard. Explain why. Because this plan meaning that you want to build for 5 years minimum. Yeah, because
yeah,
as
exactly.
usually we stuck in that place where in BullRun projects raising money, yeah, then start building some big projects, yeah, and then turns in bear market, and that financing that they fundraise previous, it's not
Exactly.
enough to get in next bull run cycle, and in this area most of them died.
Exactly. However, you should keep in mind that for a VC, that also means that they have to lock their money up for more than 5 years, which is also tricky uh, because a cycle takes over 4 years to complete. So if they're willing to, if you're able to raise money with such parameters at the equation, then you're doing a great job, and probably you're building something valuable. So starting up during the bull cycle allows you to move fast because there are a lot of active people in the Web3 space that can test out whatever you're building. And it's really challenging to find these customers during the bear market because activity is so low.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing your experience, for joining us. I hope our talk was good for you. It was interesting with questions. So thank you and see you later. And now we are,
Thank you. That was a lot of fun.
yeah,
All right.
thank you. Bye
See you
bye.
next time.